Hello, folks. Welcome to another video. This is Rodge. We're doing something a little different today. So we're going to learn about a new game out there, newish game. And I'm speaking with Jordan, the head honcho at Earthbound Games. How's it going, Jordan?
Goes very well, thank you.
Oh, awesome. Good to talk to you. So we are we're chums, right? Right, Jordan?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So this is kind of a test, but kind of also want to help out a bud. And you're also a Wisconsin guy. Got to give signal boost to the Wisconsin people out there whenever I get a chance. So you live right down the road from me, and we're going to talk about County Road Z, which is your game that you created, right? Are you the solo? I mean, you've had art contributors and stuff like that, but as far as the rules writing and stuff like that, are you the only man over there?
Yeah, that is me. I'm not good at layouts or art or anything, but all the words are me.
I think that's a lot of people not so good at layouts and art. But yeah, so you've got this game. I know of it. I haven't played it myself, so I'm interested to learn more about it. And if we're gonna, if you're just gonna do your 30-second, 1 minute pitch to entice people to stick around for the rest of the video, what would you say about County Road Z?
Well, on the cover it says a game of rural survival in the zombie apocalypse. Um, the long and the short of it is it's a solo and co-op skirmish miniatures game with a high focus on community management and base building in between tabletop games. So the tabletop portion is only about a third of the experience.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so it sounds like, in the vein, if we're thinking old classic Warhammer, GW games, kind of Necromunda, Mordheim in some ways. It sounds like it's a little bit more than that, where you have your games and then you have, kind of the campaign aspect, right? So it's really um, a campaign style game, right?
Yeah, well, the goal, the idea was if you only get to the tabletop once a week, then when you're at your boring job during the weekdays, you can think about the in-between game stuff. Uh, and then when you get back to the tabletop, you've done all of your housekeeping and your base building and your resource management and stuff in your head all day at your office job.
Awesome.
That was my idea anyway.
That sounds cool. So, County Road Z, where does that name come from?
Well, actually, the funniest thing about it is years ago I worked on the road. I spent a lot of time on the road for work, and I drove past a sign that said County Road Z, the Wisconsin County Z, day after day. Because in Wisconsin, the county roads are named with letters. Don't ask me why. I bet it sounded like a good idea at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I remember looking to one of the guys I was driving with, thinking that would be a great name for a zombie movie. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't make movies, so 10 years later ish, I uh, decided to roll it into a game.
Awesome. Yeah, and that was kind of a loaded question. Yeah, because we were chatting about that this weekend. So, yeah, in Wisconsin, there's all the kind of local county highways are with letters or maybe two letters. So, but apparently that's not nationwide. It's just one other state does it that way. So, I think that's a perfect name for a game as a Wisconsin fella. But it is on the cover there on the sign, so I think people can make sense of that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it definitely is a zombie game. So, how tight is the zombie, I guess, the theme and stuff? Is this, is there fluff in the background here? A specific cause of a zombie outbreak, or is this meant to be the player is going to fill in the blanks on that kind of
Um,
stuff, and there's maybe options to go.
yeah, I kept it the origins and whatnot like purposefully vague because
Mm-hmm.
everybody brings in their own favorite zombie fiction. And so I tried to hit all of the tropes, everything you think of with a zombie apocalypse, um, so that people could invest in it, whichever flavor they wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And then I added so there's your basic rules, which cover all the normal just zombies, like your Romero apocalypse or whatever. And then there's a whole section in the back where you can customize. So it's like if you want rage zombies from,
Fast. Yeah, it's
like 28
controversial.
weeks later,
Yeah.
that's an option in the back, or like Resident Evil style where it takes more than one headshot. That's another option. And then like the ones that explode and
You
the
got
ones that
weird
break
weird
walls.
ones.
Yeah.
A
So
giant
like,
giant muscly one that
hmm
doesn't go down. Is that back there?
yep. Oh yeah. No, so all of the weird stuff is in the back, and then you can kind of flip on switches and customize the apocalypse to your liking.
Mm-hmm. That's cool.
Yeah.
So what do you all need to play the game? So I know the actual game itself is essentially a rule book,
hmm
in a PDF or a physical copy. So this is a miniatures game. You're not creating miniatures, so we know that it's kind of agnostic.
Yep.
Use whatever you like there, right?
Yeah, definitely bring your own miniatures. The game kind of exists because I played Zombicide too many times, and I had all
Okay.
the minis, and I thought, man, this needs a few more layers. Like it just wasn't complex enough for me.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, to play the game, you need a handful of D10s and about 30-ish zombies, 20-ish to get started, but like if you play late into the campaign, you're going to need more. And then dozen survivors or so, not even.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I am following your Facebook group, and I think the most interesting thing, and what people are showing the most actually, is their table setups. So this might be a new class of terrain for a lot of people. Just modern. You know, obviously you could set the timeline. Maybe in the far future or in the past. Customize it that way. But I think it's designed with our modern world in mind, and at a 28 millimeter scale, there isn't really like a big existing game that people draw from. So I think this is a lot of people's first foray into those kind of terrain pieces, and yeah, it would be fun actually to make stuff in your local town.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
Uh,
for sure. There's been some really cool ones that people have put out, and um, yeah, there's a few companies. I luckily my game came out just before the Walking Dead Mantic game went out of production.
oh yeah, so
So a lot of people repurposed their old Mantic stuff. Um, there wasn't a ton that came out with that, but it works.
yeah, I'm sure there's enough there. Another source of zombies. Yeah, that's a good point. I forgot about that one, but I guess there's a reason it stopped production. If I
I
didn't
think
come,
they lost the license.
okay, cool. Yeah. So, what mechanically, what do you think is an interesting hook in the game? I'm kind of a crunchy kind of rules guy, so I won't play a game, if I think the rules are too basic. So I like Infinity, and there's some resource management there with the actions and stuff like that. And the same thing with Saga. There's kind of a resource management type aspect. So I guess I kind of like that in games, but I don't necessarily need resource management. But there's got to be some kind of interesting rules hook. Uh, Preferably one or two, but not 10 rules hooks, because then it's too deviates too far from the kind of norm of a miniature game. So, what is one interesting rules hook that you've built in there? Would you say that?
So the way the game, the tabletop portion of the game manages action economy is kind of unique, because instead of your guys all get a go, the zombies all get a go, your guys
Yep.
all get a go, or even alternating, your guy goes, zombie goes, your guy goes, zombie goes. Um, every time you move or take an action on the tabletop, it has a noise value. And every zombie within that noise range gets an action directly after you take yours.
Okay.
So, first of all, when you start the game, they're all passive. They're all asleep. They haven't, you know, been bothered for a while. They kind of go into a, they're zombies. They're licking paint off the walls or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
And then the first noise they hear wakes them up. And then after that, once they're aggressive, if they hear you, then the AI tells them what to do. And if you're far enough away that they can't get to you, they will go wake up other zombies
Okay.
and then group up. And then as they get to be a bigger group, they become more and more dangerous because every time you move or take an action, fire a gun, for instance, and activate all the zombies in range, if they've grouped up into a horde, if you activate one, they all go. So instead of one guy coming at you because you shot and missed, it's all of them.
Uh-huh.
So stealth is kind of how the action economy is managed. So the fewer you manage to wake up, the easier time you have. Though they do wake up slowly over time so that you can't just slow play your way through.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's cool. Yes, I imagine there's a little risk reward element there. Do you try to go past or use a silent weapon that's maybe not as effective as the
Yeah,
double barrel
because
shotgun or the
exactly.
chainsaw?
Yeah, chainsaw, I wanted to make rules for a chainsaw because it's such a classic, but they're just not like practical in an actual
What?
situation.
What do you mean?
They're so
Are
loud
you
and you
telling
got
me
to
the
get
movies
so
lied to me?
close.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, wow, that's cool. I like the sound of that. So, and you were talking about base building as well. So I think we can imagine, the gameplay, it kind of has that noise element, and you're probably sneaking around trying to get supplies and stuff like that. Is that probably an average scenario, or?
Yeah, well, there's a host of scenarios, obviously, but for the most part, the core loop is you send people out to do a tabletop mission, get a bunch of supplies and whatnot, bring them home, decide how to use them, and then as the turn order goes, like whatever you built takes effect, and then you can build more. So it's kind of a balance too, because if you want better weapons to do better on the tabletop, then you
Mm-hmm.
need to spend your resources to make manufacturing or workshops or whatever, gunsmith. But if you want to feed everyone, you need a kitchen and a garden.
Okay. Well, that's one thing you don't need in Gorka Morka.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're just
So,
eating the
and then
mushrooms there.
if you get good enough weapons fast enough, then they can go a little hungry because the minuses aren't that bad. But you have to really accelerate one or the other if you want to focus. But otherwise, it really encourages you to spread out and make sure everybody's happy and fed. Otherwise, and they need places to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
So if you bring a team out and nobody, uh, if you didn't have beds for everybody, then somebody sits out the mission because they're just exhausted,
Just
and so you
to
don't have the resources you need to do the mission you wanted.
just to knucker it out. Oh,
Yeah,
cool. That sounds interesting. Yeah, so that's exactly kind of what I wanted to hit at. Yeah, because we can imagine the tabletop scenarios. We played a lot of tabletop games, and
but
we know the campaign. Guys get killed, they get injured, they gain experience. I'm assuming there's a system like that, and we kind of understand how that operates. But the base building thing, I think, sounds pretty cool. So, I don't know. I think if I had a base, I would definitely draw a picture of it. Uh,
yeah, actually, it encourages you because the way the gameplay works is if you as your community grows, then you need a bigger base.
okay.
So then there's a mission where you set up what the base looks like on
That's
your
gonna be my
tabletop.
question. Yeah, can the zombies attack the base? It's like XCOM where you're building
It's
it out and you gotta put everything in the right spot,
yeah,
to defend
my
properly.
my 600 hours in XCOM 2 had nothing to do with this game.
Oh yeah,
But
close to
yeah,
the mine.
so one of the mechanics is actually the amount of noise your base makes. So if you're building too fast and you have too many people, then it makes more noise and you have a bigger chance of a huge horde descending on your base, and then you got to defend it instead of doing whatever mission you wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, hey, we got to go get groceries, but we can't because, we made too much noise.
That sounds cool. Yeah. So if you add, yeah, it sounds like a kind of game where the more you want to put into it, the more you're probably going to get out of it, you know? So if I build the farm and then I could build a little farm terrain piece that goes along with it, you know, it's just for your own personal satisfaction, like, you know, that's the farm that you have and this is your workshop and the garage and stuff. And then you kind of have that set up, those
Absolutely.
terrain pieces and everything.
And there's like base upgrades like watchtowers that then if you build that terrain piece, it's actually incredibly advantageous because zombies go up ladders real slow.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
So if you upgrade your base with the watchtower and then build that terrain piece, your base defense gets that much easier.
Mm-hmm. So, um, what's kind of the end game conditions then? How long would I mean, if we're The Walking Dead just goes on forever. You know, we know it never ends. But so for your game, what would like a full cycle or run? How many turns, or however you want to
Right.
phrase?
It really depends on how well you do. I found it during testing, depending on how many of the difficulty switches you turn on and off from the back of the book, because the tabletop difficulty varies greatly depending on, what kind of stuff you want to put in there.
Mm-hmm.
But I found it kind of be sort of roguelite. So you go
Yeah, it's just
until,
different every time.
yeah, well, and you go until basically everybody is dead or
How do we
something
win? How do we
catastrophic goes
win,
wrong.
Jordan?
Until something catastrophic goes wrong, and then you take your survivors and
Mm-hmm.
start another mission with, instead of your starting fresh guys, you start with your slightly leveled up guys, and then they build a new community and a new base. That's how it worked for the most part, because I'm not great at miniature games. Anybody who's played me in Infinity will know that. But
You know what? That actually, anecdotally, I think that seems to be the case with games designers, from what I've seen. I would love to interview more and just kind of take like a rough poll, but
I think,
anecdotally, there seems to be a connection there.
yeah,
Uh,
especially I find with the co-op solo guys, they're the
sure.
ones that lose all the time. So it's like, hey, why not cooperate? If we
Yeah.
work together, then we both get to win. Uh, but yeah, no, I found it to be like that. But in the main book, there's no real end game per se, though there are expansions in the works where you actually get to win, to finish, to cure the virus in one situation,
Oh, go all the
or
way.
stop the uh, evil necromantic energies, or destroy the cosmic horror.
Yeah,
Those are
there's a
the three
few.
origins in the expansions. So
That's cool. Yeah, I like that. Um, so we, you referenced a little, so primarily, I think it's a solo game, or what came first, the co-op element? How does the co-op work then? Are you just in tandem, or are you putting your
it
your gangs on the same board?
right. For the most part, it started as a pure solo concept, but uh, there are several ways you can do it. I found if you keep the tabletop version simple, a lot of people will play the tabletop version with their kids, and so they'll get their kids in, and it's an introduction kind of.
Oh,
And so
that's a great idea.
they take a couple survivors, you take a couple survivors, you walk them through it, whatever. You play the tabletop portion, and then when the kid gets bored or wanders off, then you do the hard math of which buildings to upgrade, where to spend your experience points, which things to buy, what mission to do next. And then when you're ready, you can play the next mission with someone who's a little less experienced. That works pretty well for a lot of people. Um, Otherwise, cooperatively, it works best if you use two communities. So it's like I have my community, and let's say we're, in uh,
Alexandria.
right, and then the other community is maybe over in,
Can't think
you
of
know,
Hilltop. What are the other
yeah,
names?
exactly. And so, and then you would go and you would agree on what kind of mission to do. and then you'd both send like a delegation of scavengers or whatever, and the mission difficulty scales up depending on how many levels of survivors you put on the table.
Mm-hmm.
So you can kind of agree how hard do we want this to be, how many dudes do we want, and that kind of thing.
Okay. Can you be a naughty boy and shoot the other guy's
There is
models? Or
currently no rules for PvP
okay,
except for splash damage. Like if you're throwing
yeah,
grenades around, you're going
accidentally.
to catch
Okay.
somebody.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I prefer to imagine a universe where once all civilization has ended, people work together to rebuild.
Okay. Well, that
And
that's
yeah,
fine because that's the opposite of every other
yeah, right, right. There's no
miniatures
Negan,
game, so it's
no Negan
okay.
in County Road Z.
That
Also,
they,
mostly like I played some others, and it turns into a gunfight with some zombies in the background.
yeah. So you
And
could definitely, that could be a fun type of game, but that's not what this
yeah,
game is.
it's just not what this one does.
So yeah, that's cool. Um, yeah, I like the idea of playing it with the youngins. I think that's a great idea. Um, yeah, I suppose any kind of solo game. So I'm definitely, miniatures are a way for me to connect and meet people, and it's my social circle. So this kind of solo game track, I haven't really paid attention to it, or it's not just not really been for me. But I do like that aspect of it's just a way, I'm not gonna smash my kid in
Right.
typical Age of Sigmar, whatever kind of games, or being smashed, let him beat the crap out of me, there's different kinds of ways to
Yeah.
do it. So I like this solo idea for as a way to. So I've got a 6-year old, and he's starting to get interested in what Daddy's doing, and yeah, I like the idea of this kind of solo play and kind of doing the story and kind of focusing. It's not all about combat and stuff like that, and I'm sure all his guys will level up, and all
Hmm.
my guys will get killed and wounded and pass away, and he'll really enjoy that.
Got to take one for the team.
That's right. Um, yeah, you could even, I mean, he's got a favorite guy, and he ends up getting killed or something. There's life lessons in there, I think.
Hmm.
Jordan.
Also, game lessons, because then you can meet that guy's twin brother who has exactly the same stats and the
That
same
is true.
miniature.
Yeah. Yeah, math and stuff like that. So that I think is really cool. So, how long, if we kind of shift maybe to a little bit about the game design and stuff like that. So, how long has this been percolating for? Um, how long did it take from start to finish? Is this a forever project finally come true, or
I um I guess I always wanted to build a miniatures game, like ever since,
ever since you saw that sign?
well,
Yeah.
since I played Heavy Gear in the 90s, I
Okay.
wanted to build one. But then, you get busy with life. Nobody has time to write a whole game.
Hmm.
And then, you know, uh, thanks to a certain worldwide event that happened recently, I found myself with little time on my
Okay.
hands.
Okay.
Uh, and honestly, like I fiddled around with a bunch of different game systems and concepts. And when I landed on the way the zombies react to noise, once that reaction system kind of boiled down in my head, it was like 6 months tops from that idea to a fully playable beta.
Okay. So you
Uh,
kind of knew you had something there,
yeah, well, once I
after
landed
mucking
on that,
around.
then
You're like,
I
oh,
couldn't get it on the paper fast enough.
this will work. Cool. Yeah, I suppose solo game easier to play test,
Yeah,
and
no, that's part of it.
uh, that'll help that particular aspect.
Though I don't want to minimize the uh, addition of my actual playtesters who did great work because everybody plays games differently from each other.
Definitely, yeah.
So they came in at different angles and like saw things I would never have because I had playtesters, because of the age of the internet, which is fantastic. I had playtesters in like 4 countries.
Oh,
Uh,
cool.
so it's like, how's the New Zealander play? Oh,
Hmm.
well, it's a little different than the way the Floridian plays or, the Wisconsinite plays.
Interesting. So, did you? So, how do you know those people? Is there like a community or
Uh,
something like
there
that,
was
or?
a Facebook group called Gaming the Zombie Apocalypse, and there's a Facebook group. Just the other one I got a lot of playtesters out of was just solo wargaming with miniatures. And these
Okay.
were communities I'd been a part of for a long while and
Mm-hmm.
chatting with people. So then when I had something, I was like, "Hey, does anybody want to try something? It might not be good." And people came out of the woodwork once you describe something that isn't what they've already played, you know?
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's cool. Um, yeah, I like what I've been hearing. So, if somebody's interested in picking it up, how do they go about it?
County Road Z is available on Drive Through RPG and War Games Vault. You can search County Road Z or Earthbound Games. Honestly, I finally got to the point of popularity where if you just Google County Road Z, the first one or two are my game, and
Yep.
then there's a Zillow listing.
All right, number
So,
one or two. That's pretty
yeah,
good. Yeah.
yeah, pretty good. I was pretty happy when I came up first, even after I went into, don't use my location, don't remember who I am mode on Google. So, pretty happy with that. I guess I found an audience.
Okay. Yeah. So people can get the PDF, or you can order a print
Yep,
version.
print on demand in hard copy and hardcover and softcover. If you happen to be from Italy, there's a great Italian version you can get at Via Editori, and the PDF is $4. Uh,
Oh, wow.
yeah, I
Yeah.
kept it budget, especially my first game. Got to get it out there, and I didn't want like if somebody really really wanted to play but just didn't have $24, they could just throw at something that
Okay.
might not be
Yeah,
good.
I would say the going rate is typically around 20. So
Yeah,
$4 if you've
yeah.
been
So
intrigued by what we've talked about here.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it's definitely really reasonable.
kind of a preview price because the second edition will come out eventually, and then that'll cost real people money.
Oh no, second edition. And are all the rules going to change?
It'll be 100% compatible. It'll just have
Okay.
more,
So there's no reason
the same but more.
not to drop the $4.
Absolutely.
Oh, cool. Um, yeah. So Earthbound Games, County Road Z, Drive Through RPG. Do you have a website or anything?
Yeah, I'm my website's at earthboundtabletop.com. And there you can find the FAQs and the errata and stuff. There's not a lot of errata, uh, but there's a little bit. So if you find yourself with questions, that's a good place to go to.
That's cool. Yeah, and I know there's a good Facebook group. I would
Yep,
definitely join that if you're interested. People
yep. The
post in there all the time.
County Road Z official Facebook group is very active, and I'm on there a lot. So if you do end up buying the game and have questions or comments, maybe some snide remarks, you can pop over there and give me your 2 cents.
Absolutely. So, well, I think that's good. The game's been out for a while. I know people are having fun with it. Sounds like it's not going anywhere. You got expansions coming out, a new edition. Got some partners on board to flesh it out. So, really exciting. I mean, I'm pumped for you, man.
Yeah, we're going places. We're going places.
All right, cool. Well, yeah, if anybody has any comments or anything, they can definitely post below. I'll point Jordan to this video here and he can answer them. But if you liked me chatting with somebody about a different game besides Saga or talking about painting and stuff like that, definitely let me know. I do like kind of talking about games and stuff like that, so I could see more in my future potentially. But I just want to help out Jordan here, get the word out. Everything he's doing looks really cool, and yeah, wish you the best. Perhaps we'll chat again in the
Thanks a
future.
lot, Raj.
All right, talk to you later. See you, folks. Bye bye.